Hey guys, welcome to the channel. We're just gonna be sitting here introducing one of the cars of the group, and our first guy right here. Can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Ty, Build Logic, so this is my car.
So what do we have here? What car? What year?
It's a 1995 240SX SE with sunroof. It's got an RB26 in it, stroked, 2.8 liter, well almost 2.9. It's the Brian Crower kit. What you see is basically the culmination of me doing a whole lot of scientist fabrication stuff. It's an all-wheel drive car. It's got full R32 drivetrain in it, front to back. If you notice, strut towers are different. That belongs to the R32. And everything below, everything is me grafting it on there. I built that manifold myself as well. That's just all, just in the name of learning to TIG weld actually. So I didn't TIG weld before, but there you go. That's my first TIG weld project.
Down there.
So this little rod that it's getting bumped around, this is just a quick spool valve, sound performance quick spool unit down in there. I didn't like having a boost actuator on it because it choked the engine when you're off boost all the time. So that was just my temporary fix to try to keep the valve open, control it with the ECU. It runs on a Haltech Elite 2500, and I probably don't even have enough of the options enabled right now. But as I go, I'll add more to it, program more stuff into it, and has AC, has fans, Koyo inflow. Probably have a little video clip of that, I think. Not sure. No, I don't think so. But it's a dual pass radiator, spout fans. Did fit as most of this as I can in there anyway. Extended the front end with tubing. Did it myself as well, which was another challenge in its own right. Just to, well, there's a bunch of eBay items on there, but you know what? If it's not too important, it should work. Any vital components I usually use, name brand stuff, obviously. So it runs on ID1000s. It's got a flex fuel sensor on it, all that stuff. I'm still in the process of tuning it. Wiring on the top for the coils probably looks real shoddy to you, but that's only temporary as well. It's coming off. I'm going with some IGN1A coils just to make sure I got good spark for everything. I don't like LS coils, to be honest with you. For something high revving, it can't keep up with the dwell times, and if you have to increase the dwell times, then you're going to end up risking an auto fire situation where it's going to fire the spark before you ever ask for it, and that will blow your engine up. So low revving applications, 7,000 to 8,000, that's fine, but I rev 995. So I built this engine to do 11,000. 10,000 is the standard red line. Right now I have it limited to 9,000 just for tuning purposes. It's got an LS alternator on it, LS1. So that's down in there. It runs a CWC alternator conversion kit. You might see some tacky little finger clamps, but I find that really useful. Toolless, works great. Find yourself on the side of the road and you need to play with something, there you go. If you follow me for a while, you'll understand that I'm a functional over form kind of guy. Obviously the car looks really beat too. It's 3 different colors, and I'll get to it when I get to it kind of thing, but body to me has always been a last priority. It does have an S14 front. I've had the S15 conversion for the better part of since 2004, I believe. I was one of the grandfathers of the SR swap, so the initial wiring diagrams out there on the internet were started by me, and eventually made its way to phase 2 motor trend and stuff like that. And for the SR, which is not here, it's actually at the other house. I had a 2.2 liter, 9,000 RPM SR in it before, made about 600, but that was on race gas, 500 on pump, and decided to switch this over to an RB26, mainly because I got tired of pushing a little tiny 4-cylinder too hard all the time. I used to road course this car, so pushing it through a whole season, kind of beat it up, eventually develop a rod knock. Things in life changed a lot, so I had to move around. I went from Texas back to Mississippi and started, this car sat for a very long time, but I always thought, man, I want the flagship, I want the big engine. So it was the RB26, and eventually I went to I was thinking about going to the RB26 for quite a while. But then when my brother-in-law passed away, one of his little silly notions to me was, you get the RB26, why not make it all-wheel drive? So obviously I didn't start truly getting into the project until after he passed away. So right around in the middle of 2008, I took the plunge to actually start researching for measurements and just the diagrams of all the cars between the two, seeing what the differences are. I was thinking to myself, you know what, this is possible. So come around to the end of 2009, put my orders in for basically a whole cut car. Got it off of Yahoo Japan. It was a fully running car on video. They chopped it in half and sent me both halves. So it was just a T-bone car, got smashed right down the doors. So I went ahead and got that. It was running car. Hey, that's a good donor because I needed the suspension front and back. And now you see what you see. It took a while though. The car probably didn't roll. It probably didn't roll until I want to say mid 2014. It's when it actually was able to actually roll around, but it was not running. It didn't run until towards the end of 2015. And then I had some engine problems initially. So obviously that engine had to come out. This is still the same engine, but all the internals had to come out and everything. And I chose to go ahead and stroke it with the Brian Crower kit. So now it's basically 2.85 in capacity. It's got a twin plate spec super twin or whatever they name it, but it should hold more torque than an RB26 should be allowed to make, really. All-wheel drive is controlled by the unit that Full Race sells. It's basically the same thing. It's sold by the guy that makes the DCCD Pro for Subarus because he makes an active controller, and basically it runs almost the same way for torque split controlling. It's just a little bit different as far as the solenoid control and all that, so that's the only reason why the boxes are different compared from Nissan to the Subaru model. It runs 9.5 inch wheels all the way around, 275s all the way around. I can rotate the tires, offset, and everything's the same. Car has a GTX 3582R on it with a 106 backside. I think it's a 106. But the initial turbo actually shredded itself on the inside. So it's actually a Chinese intersection on that one right now. And I was just trying it out. Money's kind of tight whenever you get a mishaps and it costs you $2,000. What really happened is the first sound performance quick spool valve came apart, and the butterfly plate went straight into the turbine housing and ate it up. I went with another sound performance quick spool valve. Has some weird spiral baffling in the exhaust. If you go and look at the tips, most people will find it probably funny looking. Almost looks like I have a silencer in it, but it isn't. So I have dual tips, so any back pressure created by the kind of like an auger spiraling. A lot of domestic guys have this in their exhaust somewhere, but further upstream. It takes a lot of the drone out of the car. I don't notice it in the car, but people outside the car say, hey, my car's loud. But yeah, it's really light. It saved me a lot of weight. The old system probably weighed close to 38 pounds. This one's no more than 12 from front to back. So I'd say that's a good weight savings. Factory S14 interior, with the exception of the gauge cluster and the steering wheel. And obviously the head unit. The head unit is a car PC. So I'll probably need to go grab my keys later to show that, but it's basically a computer, it's a little desktop computer. It's shoved in the dash. So I can always look at my Haltech. I can do tuning in there. I don't have to lug around a laptop or anything. I just have to deal with a small screen. R33 GTR gauge cluster. S14 steering wheel. Right now, as far as tuning and everything, I've got it set, dumbed it back down a little bit because I recently switched to the 2500 ECU from the plug-in ECU, the Platinum plug-in. So I had to take the tuning down a little bit, and then I knocked it down to a 3 psi wastegate spring, but it creeps to around like 8 or 9, depending on the weather, really. Just try to tweak the tuning back in. I tune it myself, street tune for the most part, unless somebody can donate a dyno or something. Anybody got dynos? But I used to do some tuning in Dallas, Texas. Did some tuning for rotary performance and stuff like that. But the gist of it is, you know, this is just instead of a road course car, so we turned around and switched gears a little bit in it and kind of take life in a little bit more plushable way, just to kind of build an ultimate street car. That way, so it's like not caged. May have to cage it one day. I'm not sure. Depends how fast it goes at a drag strip. Don't want to get kicked out all the time, but yeah, it's safer anyway. We'll see what it. If I feel it needs it, I'll put one in. But you know, as far as ultimate street car, I think it's doing a great job. All-wheel drive works great, and it handles great. It still feels like a light car. Where's Hyde?
I don't know.
Is he in his car?
Is he gonna follow us?
Are you following us? You just sitting there? Huh?
You want to get in the back seat?
Or you can go in the house. Pick one. I mean, you can probably wedge back there. You're a little guy.
You're a little guy, get back there.
Yeah. We'll just make the car feel a little bit slower, but it's all good.
Awesome, chilling.